All right, it's been a while. Now we're going to take all the things that we did in the previous lesson and put them all together in one graph. So let me just remind you. It was y equals a. It could be sine or cosine of bx minus c plus d.
Do you remember this one?
Kind of, yeah. But listen, most of it is stuff you already, like, you should remember that moves it up and down, right? That's a vertical shift, okay? The number in front, so A is the amplitude. But we put it in absolute value.
For the final, we have the formulas.
Okay, this, if we set this, or actually, there's two parts to this. If we take 2 pi over b, that's going to be the period. And if we set the whole thing, bx minus c equal to 0, that's the phase shift. And the vertical shift is the plus d. Okay. All right, so amplitude is 2, we said. What is the period? Well, b is the coefficient of x, so it's just 2 pi.
Wait, what is the amplitude? No.
Okay, if we put x plus pi equal to 0, it's going to be negative pi. And the vertical shift? Plus 1, up 1. Okay, so the period is 2 pi. But remember how we're going to take whatever is after the sine or cosine. We're going to put that between 0 and 2 pi to figure out our new starting and ending point. So what do we do to isolate x? Subtract pi. So it's going to be negative pi to pi, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put negative pi here. And since that's kind of symmetrical, I'll try to put them evenly.
Like a half.
Okay. And then, yeah, what are we going to put? The midpoint of that's just going to be at 0. And then the midpoint of negative pi and 0 would be negative pi over 2. And right between 0 and pi is pi over 2. So remember, the start, the end, the middle, and then the middle and the middle of those. Those are the 5 important parts that you always have to label on your axis. Okay, next I have, it goes plus 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2 here. Oh, thank you. I'm going to go up 2. There we go. And that means I have to go. So I'm going to, since the amplitude is 2 from, this is our midline, we called it, right? So from the midline, I'm going to go up 2 and I'm going to go down 2. Since this is sine, do you remember the order of sine? Sine always starts with 0, then it goes to 1, 0, negative 1, 0. This is sine.
Cosine is 1.
Cosine starts at 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. And remember, in this case, the 0 corresponds to the midline, and 1 corresponds to 2 now because it's jumped up. The amplitude is 2, so we'll go. And actually, I'm sorry, our 0.
Oh, no, isn't it negative?
Don't we have to start here? Yeah. We're going to start at negative pi. So it's going to start right.
No, I'm saying it's negative 2. It's negative 2.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I didn't see that. So actually, instead of going up to 1, that would get multiplied by -2, so that would go down 2. You're right. So if there's a negative in front, we're going to go down first. So we'll go down here, back to 0, and then we're going to go up 2 and back down to pi. We're going to make a nice sine wave. Like that. It does not have to be drawn to scale. That is fine.
So why is that -1? At the second point.
Because it goes down 1, 2. So think of the midline is our new 0. And if the amplitude is 2, we just need to make sure we go up 2 and down 2. So that's why it goes to -1.
Hold up though. It
Yep.
says, so the reason we're going down first is because it's a -2, right?
Yeah.
So picture whatever your amplitude, whatever that coefficient is. Sorry. If I were to multiply each of these, that would be my new pattern. If I multiplied each of those by
Multiplying
-2.
by -2.
Yeah, so we'll go 0, -2, 0, +2, 0. So that's kind of the pattern. You just, if you know the pattern, then whatever your coefficient is. So in this case, we're going to multiply all the cosines by 2. Okay, let's see. Okay, amplitude this time. Two.
Amplitude
So-
2 is period 2 pi.
Well, it's 2 pi over a half. Because we take 2 pi and divide by the coefficient of x. That's 4 pi.
What? Yeah.
No, but-
yeah, that makes sense. Wait, but why is it over 2 pi? Why isn't it just pi?
No,
Because if you said equals.
It has to be 2 pi.
No,
It's always 2 pi.
the period is always 2 pi over b.
I'm
Now
switching
we'll do the
periods,
phase shift
yeah.
and we'll set it equal to 0.
So if I take 1/2 x minus pi, set that equal to 0, what's that going to give us for our phase shift?
So then just 2 pi.
2 pi.
That's what I was supposed to say.
And vertical shift is down 1.
Well, the phase shift always equals 2 pi.
No. The phase shift on the last one was negative.
Yeah. Okay, let's figure out how we're going to label. So we want, oops, that's not what I wanted to write. 1/2 x minus pi. Okay, so we're going to find out our new starting and ending position. So we're going to add pi to everything. So that's going to make it,
new starting position 2 pi.
because that's the phase shift.
Ending thing is 4 pi.
The ending thing is going to be 6 pi.
This is pretty.
Because
If it starts at 2 pi and it
When you're
completes-
adding to 4, yeah.
that's another way to look at it. Yeah, some of this might be a little, yeah, because if I multiply everything by 2 here, I'll get 2 pi to 6 pi, right? Okay, so 2
We can
pi.
write 2 pi at the x and y.
Sure, if you want. If you want to relabel this and just call this 2 pi, I'm fine with that. Doesn't matter. Do you guys want to do that, or
Yeah.
you want to label this as 2 pi? That's fine. And then we'll just go here. That'll be 6 pi. Okay, smack dab in the middle of 2 pi and 6 pi will be 4 pi. And 3 pi and 5 pi. Okay, now we're going to label. So I want to have a
You go down.
midline at -1. But then I have to go down 2 more. And I'm going to go up 2. Are we okay with the labeling?
Yeah.
So just so you know, the labeling is the most, that's most of the points on. The labeling, you get 2 points for the x-axis, 1 point for this, and then 1 point for the actual graph. So that's why it's really important to have the labeling correct. Okay, now cosine normally starts at 1. So it's going to start 2 up. So it's going to start at 1. Good. It's like weird because you have to kind of think.
This is a 2.
So
yeah.
cosine, right? But I'm going up 2 from that midline.
And then we go down to the midline go down 2, back to the midline, and up. Now we get our cosine wavelength.
How do you figure out the values for sine and cosine again? Like I know
You
it's
should know it.
sort of here.
So it all goes back to the unit circle, right? Here at
Or like the
0,
y over x.
cosine.
Oh,
cosine was 1. Yeah.
got it.
So if you forget the values, you could just do those.
So it's 5 and it starts back at 1.
You should remember sine is y and cosine.
Yeah. Okay, last one. Now we want to write an equation. So let's do first. Find the midline. Where is the midline going to go? -2, right? So we're looking at the maximum is 2, the minimum is -6. So I'm going to draw a midline at -2. That means my D, so remember D is -2. Okay, what about my amplitude? What's the amplitude? So D is -2. What's A equal to? Well, how much does it go up?
8.
Goes up 4.
It goes up
Goes up for
1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes down 4. So that means the A is 4.
Wait. Oh yeah, it would be 4.
Okay, let's figure out what B is equal to. I'm not going to give you a phase shift for these.
What about sine or cosine?
So let's see. So you can use cosine or sine. I'm going to strictly just give you sine ones. So let's start with like here. Let's just look at where it is on the y-axis. So if it goes here to here, what's the length of that period? 4 pi. Okay, so if the period was 4 pi, so if the period is 4 pi, what does B have to be?
4.
Okay, now you're just guessing. 2
Oh,
pi
wait,
over B has to be equal to 4 pi.
Oh.
So B is, oh, don't look at the board then.
You just close your eyes.
You have to ruin everything for me, Gavin.
I wanted to point that out.
But not if he's trying to write on his paper.
Use 1 and 2. Wait.
I don't think he's trying to write on his paper. He's trying to write on his paper.
Okay. Okay, so we'll put that all together. And also it went up first, so we know A is going to be +4 sine of 1/2 x minus 2.